It's on?
God took
Can
care
you hear
of
him
us.
okay?
God took care of us, I'm telling you.
Okay. Okay, stop just for a second, Amina.
We're rolling.
We're rolling. Today's date is July the 28th, 15, and my name is Ratibu J. Cox, and I'm interviewing Amina Carter and her cousin Jacqueline Carter. Will you both spell your name for me, please?
WILMERDEANCARTER.
Okay, and you, Jacqueline?
JACQUELINECARTER.
Okay, and I appreciate both of you interviewing, and we're interviewing at our home, Ratibu J. Cox and Amina Carter in the city of Rialto. So we're just so happy to do this. Now, what are you doing and showing her at this time?
I was showing Jacqueline pictures and telling her stories about her line on the Carter side, the line right before her, right before me, as a matter of fact. My aunts and uncles, which would be her great aunts and uncles in a lot of cases. And in some cases, they're her aunts and uncles.
So basically it's family pictures.
Family
pictures, and you were explaining some of those pictures. Had you ever seen any of these pictures before?
Not the pictures, but I know some of the people.
You know some of the people. Okay, continue to show her and talk about the pictures now.
Yeah, this is one of my,
Can you
this is Dorothy Lee. You know, she never gained a pound.
Is that Ruby?
That's me.
That's you? Looking like Ruby. With that hairdo, with the hair. You know, Ruby
That was
wear her hair
back
close
in
like
when we were
that.
all wearing afros and
Yeah.
stuff.
Okay,
And this,
talk to us loud enough so we can hear it, not just yourself because it's being recorded. So I appreciate if you talk a little louder.
but I'm showing Jacqueline a picture of Sam and Billy during his healthy days, during the days when he would take us all out and show us the land and tell us stories about his aunts and uncles who some of us knew and some of us didn't. And I was showing her a picture of my Aunt Willie, who was married to Uncle Holly. And this is when he was ill, and it was just like a few weeks before he passed away. And whenever one of my uncles like that was really ill, I made a point to go home and see them before they passed away.
So you're saying this is Sam and Sam's brother?
Sam's daddy.
Sam's daddy, and then...
This is Sam.
Okay.
Well, what is those relationship to Jackie?
So...
This is her
Cousin.
second cousin.
Cousin.
Oh, second.
This is her second cousin, and this is her great uncle.
Anderson,
No, this is Uncle Holly.
his
Anderson's
brother.
son.
The son.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Anderson's son.
Son. Mm-hmm.
And just like he's my grandfather's brother. Okay, my grandfather's brother is Uncle Howard.
So that makes him your great uncle.
Yeah.
That's your great uncle.
Your great grandfather's name is what?
Anderson Carter.
Right.
And this is Ratibu. We were working on a Tom Bradley campaign. He's got on his Tom Bradley shirt. And we loved Aunt Willie because she always cooked for us. So, we get down here eating food. Oh, this was like at the church. Remember I told you our church was one of the last black churches in the area that still had food during the revival outside. In the old days, they would have it in the back of wagons. And you would push your wagon back up and everybody would go in a circle in the wagons and get a plate, get something from everybody's plate. In the modern days, they still do it, but they do it out of their trucks. They all have trucks, and they let the gate down, and they have all this food in the back of the truck. And so everybody get their plate, and they go around and eat food. Then they have this table full of food. You can't even imagine how much food they have at the revival. And that's how they used to do it, and that's how they still do it. And this big tree...
Excuse me, Mama, just before the tree. Where did the food come from?
The people baked it at home. They
Okay.
spent 2 or 3 days before the revival cooking food, and at night, you know that. They cooked up a lot of food for Sunday. And the way my mother used to do it on Saturday evening, they would cook the bulk of the food. And so when you came home from church, all you had to do was cook the cornbread.
Just cornbread is the last thing.
Last thing, cook the cornbread. And while your mother was cooking the cornbread, everybody had to wash up, and if you were like me, you had to set the table and get the forks and spoons out, and make sure when your daddy came to sit down at the table, I mean, his plate and everything was ready.
But at the picnic, people brought what they had cooked, and they would put it on the table at the church.
No, you would go around the. You were with me. We would go around the truck and get the food.
About history.
And you could go sit back in the church, or you could go and eat. If it wasn't too hot, you could eat on benches that they had. They had picnic tables and stuff right outside the church where you could sit and talk to people while you eat.
And when are they usually held, those picnics?
Oh, during the revival. It was not
what month?
In our church, it was always August, always the fourth Sunday in August.
Oh, okay.
That we would go to the revival. And
Mount Tally.
Mount Tally.
Right.
And then they had the Sunday was the big picnic, and everybody came and all that. And then every night during the week, they had visiting churches coming to do the program. And back when I was a little girl, it was during the time where all the young people who had not been baptized, you were going to get saved one of those nights.
It's your turn.
Yeah, by the time you were 9 or 10 years old, I mean, you were going to get saved. Your mama told you before you left home, you get saved tonight. You go right up there to that front row, and you get saved. And so what Dorothy, Sybil, and I decided that we would just go ahead and get saved the first night, so we wouldn't have to sit, because if you didn't get saved that Monday, you had to go back and sit up on that front row on Tuesday night. You sat up on that front row until the end of the week, and then if you didn't get saved, I mean, you got to look. They would come and look at you.
You know how old you were?
I had to be about 6 or 7.
Wow.
And so probably about 7. And then after you got saved, you had to give your life to God and all that. Then you could go sit back in the regular audience, but you had to get saved, and you had to sit on that front row till you got saved.
But when did you get baptized?
So then, after the revival is over that next Sunday, everybody, all the little kids, all the people who got saved, at that time, we had a stream coming down through the church, through the woods. And everybody would go down to the river to get baptized. And we would sing all the way from the church, and they would put these white sheets on the young people, just like you see in the movies.
Yeah.
And you would walk down, and everybody would sing, "Take me to the water, take me to the water, take me to the water to be baptized." And so you would sing that, and everybody would go, and when you would get there, the deacons, they would have on their white stuff in the water, and on each side, and then the men, whoever, would walk you out to them, and they would, you want to be saved. I forgot what they say. Are you accept the Lord as your Savior, or whatever it is, and you had to say yes. I mean, you better say yes. So once you say yes, they caught you by your nose and ducked you under and got back and brought you back up, and you were saved. And so you went over there, and your aunts and uncles and stuff would have a quilt or something to put around you to dry you off, and take you into the church and put you on something. And it was so special because they told you were saved, and that God was going to take care of you. I mean, you actually believe. I actually believed it. That God was going to take care of you, and now you had to walk a certain way, talk a certain way, because you were a Christian, and you were saved. Which meant you had to go to church every Sunday after that. I mean, you just you couldn't miss church and Sunday school and stuff. But I actually enjoyed it, and we lived all the way, okay, you don't even know what I'm talking about, but we lived quite a ways. And in my early years, I can remember having to go to church in a wagon. That was before we had trucks and stuff. And my dad was always the first one to get a truck and a car, and all, not cars, but a truck. People had trucks because they were farmers. But I can remember riding in when I was like 4 or 5 in a wagon all the way around that road to church. And one time in the winter it was really raining, and so there was always ditches when it was raining in the road because they didn't have paved roads. And I can remember the wagon getting caught in a ditch, and my daddy had to get out in his Sunday clothes and had my mama hold the rein, and then he would get the horse to, get the mules to get the wagon out. But we were going to go to church come rain, sleet, snow, unless it was just like a real storm. They were going to show up at Mount Tally on the third Sunday. I think it was the third Sunday that we met. But after you got baptized, you went to church every Sunday, and you went to Sunday school every Sunday. And see, this is Dorothy Lee, and this is one of those Sledge girls. This is Bobby Sledge. You're talking about the Sledges.
Mm-hmm.
And see, they live down this street, down the road, and she's her age. They grew up together.
Mm.
And so everybody, and these are Sean. These are Dorothy Lee's boys when they were young.
Mm-hmm.
These are
I know them.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're probably your
them.
age.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's when they were very young. And this is one of Earlene's and JT's young sons who got killed out here. I'm not
Just
sure.
talk a little louder if you would.
I'm not sure who's
Just go ahead and talk louder. Every word.
Earl Young. You've heard of the Youngs, right?
Yeah.
Because Aunt Viola had a child by one of the Youngs, and Walter Reed is a Young.
Willie Earl was a young
Mhm.
too. So which is
Those ain't Viola's children.
is Daddy's oldest brother's son by somebody.
Is a Young.
Is a young.
And so the Youngs are people who lived like up not in Neshoba County, but it was close to Winston County line. They had a lot of land, and it's a Young now that's the mayor. One of the Youngs is the mayor of Mississippi.
I need to ask about that because I know Willie Earl Young was his last name, but I knew his.
And see, Earl Young, Miss Pinky, it's real complicated because Miss Pinky was married to a Young, and then when her husband died, she married Grandpa. She married Anderson Carter because his wife had passed away in childbirth. So she married him, although they didn't have any more children. All of his children are by the same woman.
This is the second wife.
Yeah, this is the second wife. So he married Miss Pinky.
And Minnie, you mentioned Young and the mayor. Tell us his name and what city is he the mayor of?
What's his first name?
James?
James Young is the mayor of Philadelphia, Mississippi right now.
First black mayor.
I think he's the first black.
And he's our relative.
Yeah, he's our relative. He's some of our relatives. See, all of us are not related to the Youngs. See, only Aunt Viola and Aunt Piola, I think, had children by the Youngs. They were, even though their mother married Grandpa when his wife died, they didn't have any children. So I'm not related to them. But my cousin Walter Reed and all of them are related to the Youngs.
How
And
about her,
I need to ask Daddy
You need to ask him.
where Willie Earl, because his last name was Young, does he fit in that lineage
I
somewhere?
don't think Uncle Ezel, I'm trying to think if they had any children who married a Young. See, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I know Aunt Viola's, her two children.
Well,
were
I'll
Youngs.
ask about that. I can get that.
Yeah, so that's how the Youngs came into our family.
See right here? Right here.
You know that person.
This name, Claudia, this was Willie Earl's mother.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Willie Earl is whose son?
Willie Earl's my dad's oldest brother's son. And his name was,
Not Clyde. Austin.
Austin.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So it's Austin had Willie Earl and Johnny. Okay, so the Cubbersons come in there too somewhere.
Right, right. And so these are all J.T. Burnside and Earlene Carter. And see, I think she was a young too. See, Hattie, I think, married one of those youngs. And these are the descendants. This is Ethel May. This is one of Aunt Willoughby. You heard me talk about Aunt Willoughby.
I know her name.
And this is Earlene's daughter.
Okay.
Right there. And, you know, they had an aunt. They both are passed away now, but he lived, J.T. lived to be 90.
It was in his 90s.
And
She's
Earlene, she's the one that was sick for so long, but he took care of her like you would not believe. I mean, she was sick for a long time. I mean, bedridden and didn't speak. And so she had to be careful. He did not let her go into a home. He took care of her himself. And I'm not sure whose wedding that is, but it's probably one of our, and then their brother got killed.
So where did all these pictures come from, Amina? Where did that come from?
Well, a collection of either being at the event or
You collected them?
or them being over there over to my house right here. And because we always had family over like on Sundays or Saturdays and sat around the pool, or either I was running for election and they were all coming over to an event, or we were having something. And like this is Shirley right here. This is Shirley. This is Edie. This is Edie's husband. And so they're all sitting out back there. And this is Uncle Winter. See, that should have been Winter. It's not Winter, it's Winter. But it was spelled wrong. Now, you didn't know him, did you? He lived in St. Louis.
No.
He had 2 sons.
And this might have been that church we went to.
Because his sons probably got buried there, too.
Let me see.
See, he had 4 sons, Ernest, William, and Earthy, and Everett.
One of these sons died, and because I believe we went to a church right after Mom passed in 2004. Somebody else died, and this is the section of Carters that I said I didn't know, but Daddy took me to the funeral.
Did you know El Marie and Maria Lindsay? Those were his 2 daughters.
I know these names from Dad, Everett and Ernest. I know these names.
Okay. So, and see, this is one of the, see how the picture is? This is one of the older sisters. This is my Aunt Hattie. This is Earlene's mother. She was maybe like the 3rd or 4th child. You know, oh, here comes Shirley. And so she had 4 children, but 2 of them by a Culberson guy and 2 of them by, what was her other husband's name? I can't think of her other husband's
But
name.
while you're thinking of that, you said that these are one of the sisters, and I wanted to relate these sisters. Who are these sisters?
Grandpa's daughters.
Bring up Shirley
and
back here.
sons. This is Grandpa.
Go to the door.
Great grandpa.
Bring
Great-great-great,
Shirley back.
yeah.
Ezel.
Anderson Carter's
I
daughter.
go get it.
And she was like maybe the 3rd child. See, I told you the one that went to Moss Point was the oldest.
Yes.
And Jenny Mae was the oldest child. And Piola was the 2nd child. And Hattie was probably the 3rd or the 4th. And see, all of those older children raised the younger ones. Because my mother, Leslie, never knew her mother. Her mother died when she was 6 or 7. And Aunt Hattie raised her. So she said she grew up, she said she was almost 10, 11 before she found out that Aunt Hattie was not her mother. Because she raised them. You know, all the older sisters and brothers raised the younger ones.
Yes.
And so she raised my mother.
Oh, okay.
Because she was one of the older ones.
So you can jump right there. Come on.
And see, this was my dad, Caesar Carter, the one that raised me.
Just sit down. Go
This
around the
is-
back and sit down on that side of her. No, this way.
And we were at church.
Go
We
right
had
around. Watch your step.
some program at church.
Come and sit right here.
Blocking
This is joining us is Shirley Barrett. You can sit down if you want to, Aunt Shirley. Or you can stand there. You want to stand there, but it's not too much
And
longer.
see,
but,
I'm not sure if this is the the Culberson lady or the Carter lady. And I need someone to tell me this, but I think it's Grandpa's wife.
You got a lot of
I
time.
think that's who it is.
You think this is
Yeah.
Grandpa Anderson
you
Carter.
think it's what?
Your great grandpa, yeah.
Not you think it's his wife?
That's what I think. And so I have to show it to somebody older than me. in
Who
order-
gave it to you?
I'm just not sure where I got this. You know, I told you every time I went home in the summer, I went through everybody's stuff and got pictures and stuff.
But you didn't tag them.
Not all of them. But I know it's one of them.
And you think that person is related to Aunt Shirley?
I'm not sure if it's a Culberson woman or a Carter woman. And one of the
Oh,
Carters married her, or one of the Culbersons.
Can you tell Aunt Shirley?
She knows.
I gotta ask Dorothy. Shirley's too young. Dorothy
Shirley
don't know.
fell down.
Yeah, I'm too young. I don't know all of that.
Yeah, she don't know all that.
Uh-uh.
Dorothy, and so I enlarged the picture so it had to be relevant. It's one of them.
Yeah.
But I kind of think it's,
The
I gotta ask
She
Dorothy.
looked more like a Carter than
well,
she
she would have married a Carter.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
So I gotta ask Grandpa.
So the Culberson and Carters were marrying each other
Yeah.
a lot?
Yeah.
And this is Aunt Peola when she was younger. And this is Uncle Jack. Uncle Jack married Aunt Viola. But she didn't have any children by him. She didn't have any. I'm not sure who that is. It may be Aunt Peola. I'm just not sure in her younger days. See, this is Aunt Peola in the rest home when I told you we went down there that summer when they called us and said that, you know, she was not losing her mind, but that's how they said it, that she was losing her memory and she didn't know people and they had to put her in the rest home. And this is when I went down there and I said, my Aunt Peola's gonna know who I am. And she did. And so we took a picture. And this is another lady that was in the restaurant, was in the room with her.
in this chair? You okay?
This is, she was in her 90s. Not sure what. And I don't know if you've heard your father talk about the triplets, Mr. Lacey triplets family. You probably heard your, okay.
Oh, yeah, I heard
You know,
about the treatment.
Well, you know, they had all that land. They were one of the founders of the church too. See, it was the
Okay.
triplets, the Carters, the Sledges, and the Moores who built that church. They put their money together and built that church.
How old is Mount Tally? How old is
It's
it?
old. Ooh, it's old. Goes back in the early 20s. See, the church was owned by white people named Tallies. And then they raised the money to buy that church. And then eventually Grandpa bought that land that the church is on. And so now the land is Sam's. Because Sam's.
So they haven't probably had his 100 yet. Not his 100th anniversary yet.
The church, yeah, it's probably
It's
had.
probably
Well, Daddy born in 44. Just make it 70.
Well, it's probably older
90.
than that because I did a resolution. They had sent me the history of the church, and I did a state resolution for them for their anniversary. So I think they had their 100th one.
Okay, so,
So it's on the wall down there on the
Okay.
church. But anyway, this is still the visit with Aunt Peola. Now this is an earlier picture when Aunt Peola was alive and living in California. And this is Mary Mama. This is the second wife. This is the wife my uncle married when Beatrice passed away. Okay. And this is Uncle Jake. This is Aunt Peola's husband.
okay.
He worked for the railroad, and so when he came out here, he got a job with Santa Fe. And so that's how Aunt Peola could go home all the time every summer, you know, because she would get a ticket. She would be able to get a ticket because he worked at the railroad. And so when he passed away, that's when Besame and all of them started taking care of Aunt Peola. They lived over on 20th Street. And when we first came to California, yeah, this is when we first came to California. This is Uncle Jake. I don't know if you remember that little house on Tijuana. Daddy had rented that house when he first came here. When we came, that's where we lived, and that was the garage.
No, I don't,
Uh-huh.
when
Back
I
in those
came,
days, the garage was separate from the house. It was sitting way out. That's Uncle Jake.
I think when I came, you guys was on Vine,
Yeah.
down there on
And see,
7th and
this is
Vine.
Beatrice. This was my mom that died. She was a Culberson. That's her. We had gone to the mountains and had taken this picture. Daddy,
Your mom was a Culberson.
the one who
Yeah.
raised me.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
She was my aunt, really,
Right,
in my
right,
blood,
right,
but she's the mom that raised me. This is Uncle Jake, and I'm not sure who that is, one of us. Seemed like that's one of them Culberson boys right here. I just can't tell. And this was a certificate that Uncle Jake had gotten. And so this is when Aunt Peola passed away. She passed away in 86. This is her obituary here.
See, one of the things we keep talking about now is that sometimes when you go to funerals, people are not putting the lineage.
Oh,
And
and
you
they
ha-
should. That's
yeah.
how you're gonna
Yeah.
know. That's how you're
That's how
gonna
you
know.
gonna know.
See, Walter Reed was living in Tacoma when Aunt Peola died. Remember I told you about that huge storm that year? And Walter Reed was able to come from Tacoma a day before the big storm was in Texas. And see, I was trying to come from California, and the planes didn't fly. I mean, they didn't fly anybody out of Dallas. So I couldn't get a connection to Jackson, so I couldn't get to the funeral because it was just storming the day of the funeral. This is just another picture of Aunt Peola. Now, like I told you, I'm not sure who these people are. I would have to ask somebody older than me, but I know this is Aunt Viola's husband, Uncle Jack. I'm just not sure who that is. And this person, I'm just not sure.
That's not your daddy?
It may be. It may be him, because he was the only one of all those 17 children that went into the military, my daddy. None of them went into the military. And these are just some more pictures of Aunt Peola during that visit. That day. Now this is Zora Carter. Now, Grandma Zora was Anderson's wife. Her name was
I mean, why did he have?
he just had two. One that died, Grandma Zora,
The was first? Okay.
that he had all the kids by. And then he married Miss Pinky.
Pinky
They didn't
the
have any
second.
kids.
Because you know, my auntie, Daddy's sister, is named Zora.
Mhm. Yeah, they named her after her. But anyway, this says, I can't see it, I don't have my glasses on. Is that Aunt Peola?
That's Pinky
Oh,
Graham Carter.
This is his second wife.
Okay.
And they didn't have any children.
So first wife, second wife, and you got a tag.
Mhm.
And then this is his grave here.
Anderson Carter. This is his headstone.
That's nice.
And this is, we called him Uncle Shot, but his name was Pete
Now see,
Lasker.
I know. Now I
You know
know
him.
Yeah.
You know him. And these are some more people at a reunion somewhere. I'm not sure where that was. And this is another picture of Uncle Shot. You know, we were all farmers. And this is a picture when I went down to see him in the rest home, and I cried all the way to Georgia, Atlanta. Because when we went down
Too
there.
little. I just know. I remember that name. 'Cause you know how the names are unique.
Yeah, I
The
remember
name.
him.
I remember
And
him too.
so he was so glad to see us, and he just started crying. I mean, just thinking about it, he wanted me to take him with me. He kept saying, "Don't leave me,"
So this is more.
and that was just. Ratiba, could we take him? He was like, "No, we can't take
Let
him."
me ask you, Jackie, what time do you need to get ready to stop this interview?
I'm already ready when it's time
Oh,
for me
so
to go.
you can keep right on running. So let's just let it
I'm already
run.
ready. I'm packed.
But
Okay.
I have to be
She
somewhere
has a
too.
2 o'clock.
So
You
just
have
let
2
me
o'clock.
know how long you want
Okay.
to run it, because I got to close it out when you finish.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Well, just let me
And
know.
so this is just another picture.
And y'all
of
can
him in his
continue to
wheelchair.
talk, but I need to close
And
it
this
out.
is Sam, and this is Johnny Lee. Oh, that's one of Uncle Shot's
Children.
sons, yeah.
Johnny Lee.
And that was him in earlier days when he could when he was had retired from farming and all of that. Because he lived in a trailer. Once his wife died, he lived in a trailer outside of Aunt Willie's house. So he was up there with them until, you know, he just couldn't do anything for himself anymore. And that's why they took him to the rest home down in, the convalescent home down in Meridian. Because Aunt Willie and all of them had gotten old too, and they couldn't watch him. And so, because he, you know, he would get up and, you know, they'd find him all out in the field at night, you know, stuff like that. And so they didn't want to take a chance on him doing something that was,
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have.
How have you been?
Oh, I've been pretty good, pretty good, pretty good. How have
Wow.
you been?
Pretty good too. Look, I finally made it back this way.
Yeah,
Look,
you did.
Look
How
at
many years has it been?
I don't know. I don't want to count.
So they
Wilma
want to talk.
is
Okay,
making
let me
me
close it
remember
out
everything.
before you
She's
leave.
making me
Okay.
remember
I
everything.
know.
So
I
you
was
want
too
Shirley
small.
to say who she is, since you're still,
Thank you so much for this interview, and we were joined by Shirley Barrett. Will you spell your full name for us, please?
and your
Shirley.
maiden name first.
SHIRLEY,
Uh-huh.
Culberson, CULBERSON, Barrett, BARRETT.
All right. Well, thank all of you for the interview today, and I appreciate you letting us do this. Thank you so much. Okay, keep right on going.
Yeah. So but
It's been a long
she
So you know her?
yeah. Wilma is making me remember how small I was, and I just know names and faces and how we used to go in and go, come here and speak. This is, oh hi Jackie. I'll be like hi. And then you just go off and play.
Yeah.
Now I can look. Now I'm trying to pull all it back together in my memory.
I know.
So she's just been talking and talking and
How
talking.
is your dad?
He's doing good. He's doing good too.
That's good.
Yeah, I told him I was coming out here to talk to Wilma, so you know he knows that I'm gonna have a mouthful when I come back.
Mm-hmm.
So all the names that he's been saying all my life, I was like, I hear these names. He said over and over. Now
See,
she's
these
saying
are all
it
my
too.
sisters.
Oh wow, okay.
She's the oldest, I'm next, and then Jessie, she passed away, and Irene, Bertie, Marianne, and what's the baby's name? This is the baby. I can't think of her name. But that one year when I went to family reunion, all of them went.
So all these are your sisters by Cecil,
No,
by
these are
Bessie's kids. Oh yeah,
These are all Leslie's kids.
Leslie's kids.
So Irma's father is Burnside. You know, she was married to, remember I told you she was married to this Burnside guy and had Irma, and he went to the service.
Yes,
And then he never came back. He said, I'm going to Tennessee.
yes,
I'm
and
going
she didn't want to go.
And she didn't want to go. And then so in the middle of all of this, she had me by Osabi.
Yes,
Okay,
my
and-
brother.
And then
yes,
and then
yes.
she married this guy called Wheeler Carter and had
Wheeler.
all these other
Right.
kids.
Okay, yeah. Right. So this, yeah, I guess I had to get that straight. She's first, and then this
I'm
is our
second.
lineage. This is how you come to us.
Yeah, I'm second.
And then these are other sisters
These
by
are-
the other man.
Right,
Okay,
right.
yeah.
Those are the other men. And so we just did